Īśvara pranidhanāt va. Īśvara pranidhanāt va. Or Samadhi, the suppression of the mind, is attained from devotion or self-surrender to Ishvara. In this video, we are going to discuss Sutra 1.23. Now, this is a special sutra because it introduces a concept or figure known as Īśvara. Now, Ishwara, commonly translated as God or Bhagavan or a special Purusha, is a very important concept in the Yogasutra, introduced in chapter 1 and especially talked about in chapter 2. Now, when asking the question, does the Yogasutra have God? Is yoga dependent on God? This concept is a very important concept in answering this question. Now, you will see a difference in chapter 1 and chapter 2 concerning the requirement of devotion to Īśvara. In the previous sutra, we discussed different intensities of effort: mild, moderate, and intense. The faster and more intense your effort, the faster your results come to you, right? With anything that you do, the more intensity that you put into it, the more consistency and hard work that you put into it, the faster the results occur. This also occurs in the path of yoga, according to the Yogasutra of Patanjali. Now, we are going to discuss another way of stilling the mind, or another way of stopping the fluctuations of the mind through devotion to Ishwara. Now, if you're new to this channel and you're already familiar with the Indian philosophy in Sanskrit that's being discussed, please feel free to subscribe by hitting the lotus icon in the bottom right of the screen. Also, I am offering tutoring lessons in Sanskrit and Indian philosophical topics such as yoga philosophy, Nyaya philosophy, and many other topics such as the Bhagavad Gita, etc. So please feel free to contact me at theacademyofserenity@gmail.com. Sutra 1.23 states, Īśvara pranidhanāt va. Again, Īśvara pranidhanāt va. Now, if we break the sandhi, it says Īśvara pranidhanāt va. Now, starting from the right side, we have the word va. Va is commonly said to be in Sanskrit as the meaning or. Or is indicating an option in this case. And this is very important because here or is a preface to indicating that Ishvara is an option according to chapter 1 of the Yoga Sutra, and we'll see how this is the case. So Īśvara pranidhanāt va. Pranidhanāt or pranidhana. Pranidhana means devotion, self-surrender, to utterly surrender to something. Now, the ending at, pranidhanāt, is an ablative ending. It means from the devotion to, or because of the devotion to, from the surrender to, or because of the surrender to, right? So, Īśvara pranidhanāt va, or from the surrender, from the devotion to Ishvara. So in this case, much like many of sutra literature and bhashya commentarial literature, we have to define each term. So we have Ishvara, we have to define who is Ishvara, what is Ishvara. Pranidhana, what does it mean to pranidhana? What does it mean to devote oneself to something? And what does it mean to surrender oneself to something utterly and entirely? And va, we don't really have to go too much into it, but although gurus will take a long time to explain to their disciples, even days and days, each single word and what it means when it comes to this sutra commentarial literature. So in this case, Īśvara pranidhanāt va, it's saying here that or from devotion to Ishvara. But what do you mean or? What are we talking about? Or, right? Now, in the commentary, it says, Vyasa states, is there another way to still the mind? Is there another way to achieve the goal of yoga? Is there another way to achieve samadhi, to still the mind, have no fluctuations, and have the mind, the material mind or the chitta, dissolve into its original matrix and have the Purusha just be there by its own, observing itself. Tada drashtu swarupe vasthanam. Is there another way? Is there a faster way to do it? And here Vyasa states yes, or actually Patanjali states yes, Īśvara pranidhanat va, or from the devotion to Ishwara. Now it's saying that you can do abhyasa vairagya, by your self-effort you can practice and become dispassionate, but also from devotion to Ishwara, from devotion to God, you can achieve the results of samadhi faster. Not only the results of samadhi, but samadhi itself. Samadhi, or we'll get into that word, or the final goal of yoga can be achieved faster, even faster possibly than your own practice in dispassion, by devoting yourself, by surrendering to Īśvara. Okay? So now we already went into the commentary where it says, is there any other way? And then Vyasa says yes. So through pranidhana. What is pranidhana? Now in the commentarial literature it says pranidhana is a vishesha bhakti vishesha, special type of devotion. Bhakti is a key word in Hinduism, which I will introduce later. But bhakti means to devote, to worship, to surrender oneself to. There is in the Bhagavad Gita, a very important central text to Hinduism. Bhakti is a central theme of devotion to Krishna, the God Krishna. Now, there are other paths such as karma, do your work without attachment to the fruits of the labor. Raja Yoga, meditation, celibacy, Jnana Yoga, inquiry, who am I, who am I, who am I? And Bhakti Yoga, devotion. Now in the Gita, it starts to say that Bhakti is the supreme yoga, because all the other yogas are in Bhakti Yoga. But we will go over Bhakti Yoga later on, but it's very important to understand that in this sutra, in the Bhashya, it's saying, Īśvara pranidhana, pranidhana, the verb or the noun in this case, the act of self-surrendering is a special type of devotion. It's a special, vishesha, or particular type of bhakti. Bhakti, right? To serve, to worship, to devote oneself to. So pranidhana is defined as a special type of bhakti. This is literally what the Sanskrit is saying. So to pranidhana, to surrender oneself. What is one surrendering, right? What is one giving up? In this case, we can try to understand it as the ego, one's personal striving or effort to think that they are independently doing something for themselves. Okay? Because see, the yogi has a challenge, has an egoic challenge. The yogi is doing everything on his or her own, right? So today I meditated, today I did these asana postures, today I did pranayama, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did that. There's an ego sense, a sense of I that the yogi is constantly striving with. Now, with pranidhana, one is saying, I give this ego in this sense of self to Ishvara, to Krishna, to Shiva. I give this I. So pranidhana, I self-surrender to you, Ishvara. And so, to understand what does it mean to self-surrender, what is the self that is surrendering, right? And the self that is surrendering is the ego and the false sense of I. This is what I would probably make the most sense of when trying to understand self-surrender, because you're going through the Yogasutra and it's metaphysically talking about the self, the false self, the things that inhibit you from understanding what the Purusha is, etc. And you are the Purusha. So it's metaphysical, very psychological. So you go into that, and from going into that, I would say you can conclude that self-surrender is an egoic surrender. A self-striving doesn't mean you don't strive anymore, but you don't say that I strive. It's just striving is happening, and striving is happening for the sake of Ishwara, which is, now, here it is saying that the individual, the yogi, the practitioner who is wishing So abhidhyana, the individual who is wishing or yearning for God, yearning for Īśvara, that individual wins the favor of Īśvara. So if one considers their God, Īśvara, to be Shiva or Krishna or Vishnu, okay? The individual, just by the mere fact of yearning for Īśvara, by surrendering oneself to Īśvara, by devoting oneself to Īśvara, Īśvara reciprocally, right, comes back and bestows and gives samadhi, or gives the goal of yoga to that individual. Why? Because it's said that Īśvara is inclined towards that type of a person. Īśvara takes a certain inclination. When Īśvara sees and notices that someone is devoting himself to him or her, then Īśvara sees that and in a way becomes compassionate and inclined to that yogi. And from that devotion, Īśvara says, here you go. Here is the samadhi. Here is the stilling of the fluctuations of the mind. Here is the Purusha abiding in its own nature. Here is the goal that you wanted. I'm giving it to you because you are devoting yourself to me. Now, I don't quite see this as a self-centered activity where, you're devoting God and God is like, okay, I'll give something to you. I see it as a reciprocal, opening yourself up to God or some sort of an energy according to the text. According to this text, I see it more of a reciprocal relationship. You open yourself up to the idea and then God will give you something, rather than God being touched by it. Because Īśvara, later on, in the next sutra, we will understand who is Īśvara, what are the qualities of Īśvara, who qualifies to be Īśvara. Can it just be any God? Can it be the gods that are in the birth cycle, or does it have to be the gods that are outside of the birth cycle? Is Īśvara immune to anything? Is Īśvara vulnerable to anything? So later on we'll start to see that Īśvara is not vulnerable to the issues that the yogi faces, the kleshas, the karma, the vipakas, all these results and the accumulation of activity. Īśvara is not concerned with that, it's not even associated with that. Īśvara is above that, transcendent of that. And so it is very unlikely that Īśvara needs anyone's devotion, right? Whether it's Shiva, Vishnu. But Īśvara is compassionate or inclined, the word inclined, to the individual who is practicing and worshipping him. Now, again, pranidhana is a special type of bhakti. Remember, this word is a very key word in Hinduism, but in the Hindu text, and we'll become more familiar to it. And through this special type of bhakti, by the mere fact of wishing, abhidhyana, Īśvara notices the yogi's intensity towards him and then is inclined towards him as a result and gives him a faster way to achieve samadhi and a faster way to achieve the fruits or the phala of samadhi. So he gets the goal and he gets the fruits of the goal, the calm mind, the still mind, the peacefulness, the fearlessness, the stillness, right? The steadiness, the sthiti, the calmness of the goal, okay? So for now, we'll leave it at that. We'll go to Sutra 1.24 next to understand who is Īśvara. Who is this God that Patanjali or the Yogasutra is speaking of? And notice that he's optional here. His devotion is optional. You'll see in the next sutras that there are many, many ways to achieve samadhi. You could abhyasa vairagya, pyam, right? Practice in dispassion. You could do it through Īśvara pranidhanadva. You could do it through a certain type of meditative technique. You could do it through pranayama, breathing, inhalation, exhalation, anuloma, viloma, and other breathing exercises. And you could do it many ways. Va, 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 or. So in chapter 1, notice that Īśvara is optional. In chapter 2, we will not see that Īśvara's devotion is optional. We'll see that he is required. So for now, we'll leave it at that. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do hit the lotus icon on the bottom right for more videos on Indian philosophy in Sanskrit.